Yeah. So what would you say, like having grandkids, and obviously this is for the grandkids, isn't it? Really?
Of course, yes.
How would you compare your experience of growing up with their experience now? I mean, what would you say are some of the things that they're missing out on, or that?
It's very difficult because so many people who are older. Or even not just my age, even your age and Adam's age. I know you've discussed how different it was, when you were younger. But we lived an outdoor life, and in the winter time, if it wasn't raining, you were still sent out to play.
You were about to say thrown out.
Well, it was just like, right, you had your breakfast. No, but the thing is that. I had which will relate to it now, was having a conversation with Sheila on Tuesday when we were at the French in Islington after swimming, and Sheila said, it's so funny how the difference with the children, and this is relating to what you're talking about. It's 11-year-old, right? 11, 12-year-old. When we lived in Clerkenwell, Sheila got into a school near Euston Station. We're living in Clerkenwell, which is Farringdon Road. Now, at the age of 11, when Sheila got into the school, it was like, right, off to school. So Sheila would leave the house, walk down to Farringdon Road, get on the train, and go to school. And then on a first day, not even. I don't know if I took her. I might have taken her. I can't remember, but maybe, I probably did because I was that much older. So there was no idea that my parents, or my mother, I mean, would take my sister to school. So she's 11-year-old, going across Farringdon Road, which is a main road, going to the station and getting off at Euston. To go to her new school at the age of 11. So that's just one aspect of the difference. And also when we were younger,
so enforced independence.
Well, I say enforced. It was just natural. It's what most parents did. Even though my mother at that time, although she used to have a little job working for Mrs. Bramble, in the Crown, but mostly she was the house, the housewife job, and most women were in those days. Most women did stay home.
So what about the weekend then, Mum? So on a Saturday or Sunday when you're up, you have your breakfast, and then you're marched out the house.
Well, the thing is,
what would you do then?
What
would a typical day be?
A typical day,
what sort of activities you do when you're out?
We'll go out, maybe to the library in Finsbury, because that was always
used to go. Boring.
Oh no, I used to love the library. I used to go to the library all the time, spend hours in there. That's why Kindle, Justin. I spent hours on there. You've got 9 trillion books on Kindle that you can just look at. I used to go to the library, spend hours in the library. But a normal day, your friends, you meet up with your friends, and then in Rosebery Avenue, you go up Rosebery Avenue and to Exton Street Market. Before you get to Rhodes, and there's the swings. There's the swing park. So you'd spend hours on the swings. And then if you didn't want to do that, we had the bomb site, which was just around the corner.
Oh yes.
And houses with narrow boards and although they were bombed. And they were shells. They still had all the rooms. They still had the rooms and everything like that. Isn't it? Yeah. So you and also with Aria's age, it would be the same. Favourite was having a book and skate.
Right. Yes.
So you'd have your because we never got hardly any. We got one present.
Right,
one for birthday and one for Christmas. You know. And the classic, the difference between the children and mine now is the 999,000 presents the children get. And just discard the paper and just look,
Yes,
next,
yeah. Well, just
no interest,
photos,
not even, oh, thank you, who's this from? Oh, this is, no.
Don't even bother to...
Nope.
No.
So at Christmas you'd get one present, but probably a good one, like a doll's house, and then your auntie would send you a book that you never really liked, like The Little Mermaid or something. So that was the thing. Relatives would send a book to the children. But I was an avid reader, so I read all the time. So you'd get one present, and then and you'd get a stocking, and you'd have an orange in it.
Well, that was a luxury though, wasn't it? Yes. Post-war.
Yes, you'd have an orange, and it was a proper stocking.
Right,
one of my mother's stockings, not all these, get it on Amazon or wherever,
or
the big one, absolutely packed with sweets, because no sweets.
No.
Never any sweets. So
was this still rationing then? Would you say?
Not when I was Aria's age.
So
when
far
I was,
as 11.
Yeah, I was
50,
I think I was 5. I was born 46, so rationing finished, I think, was it 53?
Right.
55, I can't remember.
Later than Germany, Italy, then all the people who started the war, we won the war, lost the peace.
Well, the Americans gave them all the money, didn't they?
Yes.
But they made us pay every single penny back right up until the 90s or something. We were still owing them.
So once you get an orange, there'll be no sweets.
And also one of the walnut.
A walnut,
of course,
in it.
Yes.
Me and Adam used to have those, didn't we?
Yes,
Stockings,
the stockings and that. And what else? There are a few things because because of. This is a little bit, because this is my brother as well. My brother's been born, and because he's only 18, he was only 18 months younger than me, but she was 7 years afterwards. So there's lots. But by the time she came, rationing had ended. Yeah. So the difference again between the children now and myself is that as soon as I got old enough, I had to do I had to do the shopping.
We had a lot of responsibilities, didn't you, when you were kids?
Yes. So, my mother, I used to go with my mother to Exeter Street Market with her, when I was very little. And because it was after the war, you couldn't get biscuits in a packet, but you could get. They used to have sacks of broken biscuits.
Broken biscuits, yeah.
So they'd have a shovel in there, and they'd get the shovel, and you'd buy them in the paper bag. They would buy that. But when I was younger, I really liked cheese. Always liked cheese. So
was that available then, or was that rationed?
Yes. Yeah. Well, it was. Yes, it
more
was.
Accessible then.
But no. The thing is that the the equivalent of, I suppose you would say, a delicatessen. They sold everything near enough, not household goods or that, but all type of food. Yeah. I always got a lump of cheese from the owner, that worked there, because he knew I liked cheese. So he never said, "Do you want a bit?" I never wanted a biscuit or anything. I always wanted a piece of cheese. I said, "Oh, could I have a piece of cheese?" So Mark, if my mother needed anything, my mother would say, "Anne, go to Exeter Market and buy this and that," and then.
So you'd have to go on your own then, or?
Oh God, yes, yeah. And also, even younger than that, I used to have to go and get the coal.
Yes, now this is a big thing, isn't it?
Yes,
so
because
in the house there's no central heating.
No central. I had a small fire, only in one little room, so I used to have to go and get the coal.
This is like pitch black and
early, and make the fire.
I mean, obviously electric lights though, didn't they? But you could turn the lights on.
No.
You didn't have electric lights?
No, not in the beginning. No, of course not. Wow. There wasn't even street lighting. You had the man who came round.
Well, it's still gas lighting, was it?
Yeah, he used to come round on his bicycle.
1940s?
Yeah, just after the Second World War.
Isn't that funny? I thought that by then it had to.
Soon after that, Justin, technology in that sense became much faster.
No, I'm very surprised.
Because we were accepted, obviously, for all the the wealthy owners in the pubs and who owned the pubs and everything. Yes. They had things like telephones, but no houses did. But we were the first ones in Clerkenwell to get a telephone.
This is like central London as well, isn't it? So it's like you're not out in the countryside.
But this is Justin. This is after the Second World War. People were living in 3 rooms.
Yes, yeah. What's that now, Mum?
Yes, we're going back. Well, we are all living in 3 rooms. Well, yeah.
But no, exactly. Yeah.
It is that, but
The quality of life was like much.
Yeah, and everything was outside because you lived in.
The toilets were outside, weren't they?
We shared a toilet in the house. There was a shared toilet downstairs, but to go and you had like your tin bath. So you had your tin bath, and
so you were lucky then if you were the oldest because you'd have it like a third. You'd have them.
Oh yes, yeah. But then Brian was. Don't forget, he's only 18. He was only 18 months, so he was quite fast after me. So before you get any realization of like yourself or your own space, he was there behind me. But yeah, the difference is.
You have a bath together, you mean?
Oh yes, yeah. But
obviously, I suppose you had.
Or my mother would put Brian in the sink. Because our front room. Well, we only had 3 rooms, so the big room at the back or at the front in the street, but whereas our front room overlooked the garden. So if you think about it, we overlooked St James's Park. That's our little park there. The whole of the summer. If unless it was raining or that, our window. So we were sitting there having our tea or our dinner or our breakfast. We sat and looked over the park the whole time.
Right, yeah.
So it was really yes, we had that view. It wasn't like we had a window but looked out onto another house. At the back we did. They looked, but my bedroom and my bed was always by the window. So.
Did you guys go to church on Sunday?
Yeah,
the big church there.
Yes.
Well, you never talk about this, but
my parents. My parents, because they wouldn't allow us to go to any Catholic school.
No.
But they wanted to get you out of the house on Sunday afternoon, because parents always wanted to have a rest on the Sunday afternoon after a hard week working and all that. So we were made to go to Sunday school.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
I don't remember you talking about Sunday school before.
No, we went to Sunday school, which was right next door.
Yeah, so obviously you've got the big church right there.
Yeah. Oh God! Every Sunday morning, Justin, the bells. The bells. What's that classic line? The bells. Is it Notre Dame? Yeah. And the bells were really loud, Justin.
Yeah. Well, you're right next door.
We're right next door to it. Yeah. So so we'd have to go there. So I decided. They encourage you to go to the Brownies. The Brownies and the Boy Scouts and the Girl Guides. Yeah. So I said to my parents, I really, really wanted to become a Brownie. And my parents, no. And I last. They bought me a uniform and lasted one day.
Oh really?
I hated it.
You hated it, right?
Yeah, it was like because you couldn't just join and see if you liked it. You had to become a Brownie. So although my parents weren't generous in like in clothes or anything like that, they actually did buy me. Right. And then when I decided I wanted to be a Girl Guide, it was like nope. So the life of the children, Justin. I mean, even in comparison to you, is just so different. Because
my experience, I think, is more similar to yours.
Yes.
Because like in the 70s, very little. Yeah. Very little to do or have, whereas now it's just. Yeah.
Well, when you were younger, when you were little, though, we used to go down to Covent Garden because we could they had that fantastic American shop, and children. Were very, they were treated very, very differently, and there was always lots of love and stuff like that. But you had chores. Although in the house, my mother always spent years trying to get me to clean my bedroom, and I never did.
Oh really? God,
hated any housework. Whereas my mother was housewife. So so when you're younger, like as I say, when I was really quite young, I used to have to get up at 6 in the morning and make the fire. My father had already gone off to work, you see, and then my mother and I'd make the fire. And you wanted to because you wanted to get up with your dad.
Right. Yeah.
It's the only time in my life I ever. And I learned how to eat swallow raw eggs.
Right. Yes.
Because my father would get up at 5 or something like that, and so it's before coffee. Justin, no one had coffee. Everyone drank tea. I mean, amongst the lower and middle classes, maybe if you're obviously if you're a higher middle class, you had coffee, but none of that was available for most people. And you just had and when I did introduce coffee, I'm jumping a bit now, saying difference. When I introduced coffee to my parents to the home. It was instant coffee. You drank instant coffee. So the difference between what Aria, Max and Charlotte experienced is nothing. They
Do you think they're missing? Do you think, like, just the relationship wise? Do you think they're missing something now? Like they don't have. Because it's all about me. It's all.
No, I think the children. No, because I mean, the children that in our family are very lucky because their parent, like you, who the time that's given to Charlotte, the time that's spent with her, the activities she has. The same with Max and Dari. I mean, the stuff that Adam, takes them to. It spends money, so they're getting.
The expectations are so much higher, aren't they? I mean, like in your day, you weren't given you didn't.
But we exercised all the time because we were always out, Justin.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's like the idea of.
But that adventure isn't there now, is
no,
it?
There's no adventure because it's all this terror of children, and obviously because
it's the parents, and it's my fault, and
but it isn't just that. We live in an age of oh my God, you what happened in the borough down in say at the Angel, and you hear about mugging or a shooting, or you hear about someone being attacked. But that all this sort of thing happened, but but no one knew about it.
Yeah, or you just get on with it, don't you?
Yeah, well, you don't because all you've got are the papers, Justin, and radio and the BBC.
But like it's the same, like because that was the time you still had capital punishment, so people could be hung for murder and get put in prison for being gay.
Oh God, yes. Censorship, Justin. At that age, I mean. The thing of there was, what was he called, the minister of not censorship, Justin.
Information or something.
No, some sort of pretentious sort of like the nation's morals type of thing. And Lady Chatler,
very powerful.
Oh God, yes. Every single thing had to pass the censor. He was a censor. All the films were censored, Justin. I mean, can you imagine all the films from the especially like the late 30s, 40s American ones, where you had all the strong women. So you'd see all these famous actresses. They were all femme fatales. So they'd all be wearing these skin tight, with bosoms hanging out, and you'd have a gun in the background, and almost like the Raymond Chandler character standing there with a cigarette in the background. But but what it was that she was the temptress and the murderer. So. Even those type of films which were available, everything was innuendo. That's why everything had to be innuendo.
Yes, yeah. But as you said, I mean, the censorship and that, but people were aware. I mean, I just want to say about like Grandad saying about like in the local pub there was a gay guy in the pub. Everyone knew he was gay.
Yes.
This is illegal.
Yes.
If you wanted to get the police and have him arrested.
Yeah, but no one would.
And it was just that whole thing of like, Grandad saying he always loves repeating the story about like come out the toilet and then the other guy come out afterwards giggling saying, toilet felt so nice and warm and and everyone had a laugh about
That's
it.
Right,
so,
because
so people do get on with
because
were aware of stuff and got on with it.
Yeah, and I think I mentioned in the first tape we did what I always called the Bohemian House, where what's the name lived. I think I mentioned him.
Yes.
Quinton Crisp.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And
we did the Queen's speech, didn't he? Like on Channel 4 for about 10 years or something, or a few years. It lasted until.
Yeah. No. Well, that's what Sting's song is about. Is I'm an Englishman in New York. Is him.
Yeah.
And he.
So he was a local character then.
Oh yes, for a while. But as I say, all the house was the house of students. On that corner
the French
of the hill, just opposite. Yeah, and they only spoke French in the pub, which was hilarious.
Yeah.
But then that was the makeup of a city, a big city like London, and that would have been everywhere, Justin. All the people coming back from the war, people displaced, the war. What happens when people come back from the war? All of a sudden, everyone gets pregnant, and everyone's looking to live somewhere. And people are mixing together that have never.
Well, they've had those experiences abroad together as well, haven't they? Like different classes and that, just like like brothers, aren't they?
Yeah.
But I suppose they said like you had to go to school. Well, she had to go to school on her own, and that. And
I had to do the shopping.
had to do the
had to go
shopping.
into the laundry.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
going on.
What about the? But,
Because Clerkenwell, as you know, it was all artisan, all silversmiths and everything around there. You know, all the houses right round the green, and then you've got the quarter inns of court, isn't it?
yes, yeah, I'd like to go down there with you, Mum.
Yes,
I'd like to-
yeah, because they used to hold prisoners. I think up until the 20th century, Justin.
Did they?
Yeah, they used to put, but they didn't. I think when
I think
we
is there a tour there or something?
there might
Yeah.
be. There might be. They don't have.
Katie.
They don't have that anymore. But when we were there, I don't think it was a functioning court. I'm not sure. I should look it up. I never even
I
looked
thought,
it up.
I thought that whole area. I thought that was like the Order of St John's.
Yes, St John's.
Yeah.
Because round at the back, where you go to when you cross over Farringdon Road, and then you go to the big arch where that was where you went through into the City of London, the original. That's where St John's Ambulance was there as well. So they're headquarters.
they're just like the Templar Knights. They're Crusaders.
Yes, they came from them. Yeah, that's
Jerusalem,
yeah. That's where that's why they've got the big red. You know, that's the Red Cross thing.
Yeah, no, fascinating.
Yeah, so
I saw a documentary on them a couple of weeks ago, Mum.
Yeah,
so that's what I'm really keen. It's free to get into as well.
Yeah, so they were just round over the back of Clerkenwell Green, Clerkenwell Close, and then over the back. You go down the alley, and then you cross. You know, Farringdon Road that goes then on to Old Street, and there's you go through to there.
Yeah, well, we should go next week, Mum. If you're free.
We could do, darling. Yeah,
I'd love to go.
It'd be nice. Go.
And then go
and
have a look.
Yeah. So all the things there.
Sorry, Mum. Yeah, because
the one when I did get really told off for, and Sheila remembers this, is I think I've told you this story. Is Guy Fawkes.
right.
The guy. So when you're children, you don't have any money. You're given threepence a week, which I think is the equivalent of 1.5p or something like that. But you could buy at the end of the week. You could buy a bumper bar and
something. Yeah, there's enough value.
no,
in
yeah,
that.
three pennies, Justin. You know, you could buy gobsmackers for like I don't know for half a p, or maybe 3 or 4 for half a penny or something, because they were in big jars and they'd hand them to you. That's why you buy them like that. So, anyway, the only way children could make money was Guy Fawkes night.
Yes.
So, my sister, because having to take her out everywhere when you get to an age, that's it. You've got to take your sister with you. You know, 7 years younger. You know, you've got out with your friends, and you've got a poor girl. You know, she was only probably about, I don't know how old she was when I was made to take her.
Little brothers, sisters are a pain in the bum, aren't they?
Yeah.
You know?
So anyway, it's Guy Fawkes night, and we're going down to Farringdon. So that's where you make your money, at Farringdon Overground, you know, the railway station, because people are coming off.
Yes.
So anyway, I dressed my sister up as Guy Fawkes.
Yes.
And so I don't know what I did with her face, and I put her in old baggy. I mean, she was in the pram as the guy.
Yes.
And we're like, penny for the guy, because that's what you always used to do. Penny for the guy, penny for the guy. So it's my brother and I with me, and my father gets off the train, and he sees us standing there with my sister all dressed up. I got into so much trouble, and the reason
it's the fear, isn't it?
It actually did happen, Justin. But with Sheila there.
Yes.
Don't say anything, keep still.
Yeah, well, that's it. Yeah, that was me and Adam as well. We had to have a sort of place with the guy.
Yeah.
And no one was giving us money, and some guy had his dog, and his dog pees on our. And the guy had to give us some money because, luckily I didn't make Adam dress up in it. But,
Yeah. So I mean, you just everything that, like you say, the difference is huge, because. As long as you had, which some children didn't, and like any time, it's all where where there was a disinterest in their children, because you could then just say, right, go out and play, and that's it. You didn't have to go to do anything else. But with my parents, I mean, every weekend we went out. My father took me out every Sunday morning while my mother got the after we had breakfast. And as I say, you know, he used to take me to Speaker's Corner. We'd go down to Trafalgar Square.
Wasn't it?
Yeah. always take me out, and then and never really took my brother out, because I don't think my brother was that interested. It's a little, my mother was like, oh no, Brian, stay with me. There was all this. Well, he's a boy, because she was brought up looking after 7 brothers. She was just a maid. She not maid, but just another. Like her mother. I mean, she was made to leave school at 13.
Yeah, she was plucking chickens, wasn't she, Mum? She couldn't read or write.
No. So it's a very different thing. Whereas with my dad, and then when the weather was good, to be really posh, Justin, we'd go down to Leicester Square to Joe Lyons' corner house, for tea.
Yeah.
So you go there and you have scones,
I think you mentioned
cream
that
and jam.
In the last one.
Yes,
nice.
Now that was the thing that a lot of people did. They would go.
You went to Hampstead Heath as well.
We used to go to Parliament Hill a lot. We used to go there regularly as well. As soon as the weather became nice.
It's quite a long journey though, doesn't it? Because
it's the 214. You used to take
so
it
you
straight
could
there.
get because
in Farringdon, Justin, go straight down Farringdon Road.
Right. Yeah.
And when you're a child, you go on the buses all the time.
Yeah. Okay. Because some places just like were the back of the world, weren't they? When let's go to Greenwich, for example, from Tavistock Place, just seemed like it was a different town, really.
Yes,
now it's so easy.
Yeah, but you did that because when we jumped, which we said about going out to later going to clubs and all that. When I got to 16, I was going. Like as I said, I was going down getting the 63, because the 214, the 63, they all go down Farringdon, Justin. But the 63 used to take us to, God, where is that place? South London somewhere. Miles away.
Yes,
because they had a Lyceum.
Direct,
a Lyceum there. So you'd get the bus at 7. I think you got there at 8:30. Then you left because you had to get home for 10:30, 11. So, but at least you had about 2 hours on the dance floor.
Yes,
you go all the way to South London, and then I used to go to Tottenham.
Yeah.
I used to walk up.
How old was it? 16.
16. 16.
When you started going
15, 16. No, I then that's going on afterwards. I was thinking about this. I thought about that afterwards, and I was thinking about this just now before you came. Actually, I can't remember why. I have no idea why, Justin. I discovered clubs, Bieber, because no one else around me was doing anything like that.
No, it's very interesting. Well, it's maybe just natural interest in like design and clothes and looking good and standing out,
clubs and everything. But
well, it's perfect, wasn't it? It's
oh
my
God, it was the start of everything, Justin. You
a
had
whole new world.
You had every single famous British band, because even the ones, say, from the north or whatever, although the Beatles were the early 60s, there was still really nothing. I mean, most of the bands were.
Like the Who.
No, they were later. No, you're talking about the Yardbirds, the Pretty Things.
Small Faces?
No, they're later. You had Brian Aldridge, Trinity, who was Brian Aldridge, Long John Baldry, and Elton John, and Kiki Dee. So
obviously the Rolling Stones as well. Cause the
Rolling Stones, they played at Eel Pie Island, and I think I said to you, so you'd go to all the different clubs. The one club I didn't really go to very much was the one on... it's just by Leicester Square, where all the jazz, where
near Frith Street, isn't it? I think.
No, that's going. That's where the freight train. The Frith Street. That's Compton Street. No, this is Leicester Square, Justin. A very famous club where Simon. No. I used to go to the 100 Club. That's where the Yardbirds played.
Right. Yes.
And the Pretty Things. And you'd go, and as I say, Brian Aldridge, Trinity played at. We used to go to West Hampstead, so you get the train to West Hampstead, and then that was in like a big hall.
Right.
So this is for Elton John or any of them. Kiki. They weren't known. They were just a young band playing. And as I say,
what about Rod Stewart? Was that 80? Was that 70s? Then that was later.
No. Rod Stewart. Who did he?
Dad was saying to him, basically carrying the drums and that. For people,
I tell you who Rod Stewart was just I think that fraction later. The main bands they played in around Soho, around that whole area, and then out and that, like the Rolling Stone played Eel Pie Island.
Right.
They very rarely played inside, but they were a band there. And then when we went to the scene, it was God, what was it? The Animals.
Right. Okay.
So
of
the
course,
scene
yes,
was the Animals. So
right.
so you've got, like you say, the 100 Club was, but then during the week, the 100 Club also they had jazz there.
Right.
But
is this the time with the faces? Like the guys, well, the people, the guys who dressed up.
Oh yes, Daniel knew some of those guys.
Yes. But they're not drug dealers though.
They were all very. No, some of them used to have.
Some of them were, but I thought it was like very much like Sting in Quadrophenia.
They had the faces. They all came. I think it was Pimlico. Victoria Pimlico, and they always were really super.
Yes.
Like at that time, I'm starting to go to Bieber and places like that. But these guys wore beautiful suits and everything, and it's the mod thing. Most of the people came down by train because you're in central London. You're going to jump on your scooter, but I think that was a later thing.
Yeah. But because I remember you saying about like when you started working and you just get your pay packet and you spend like 90% of it on a pair of shoes, or you just get.
Oh, Justin, because it was, it was, well, half of it went to my mother. It's incredible when you think of it.
Yeah.
And then as a few years go by, so you're now getting to 18, so you're probably earning £5 a week.
Right, yes.
Instead of £3 a week. But Bieber was always really cheap.
Right, yes,
so,
amazing.
I mean, if you look at the clothes I'm wearing there with Bieber, the one with Daniel and I, that is what they called a maxi black culotte dress.
Right, yeah.
And I had, and with that, though it isn't showing in that photo, I'm down the King's Road at Ozzy Clark.
How old are you then? Again, 16?
No, by 19.
19, yes.
18, 19. Yeah. And I'm also going to New Bond Street because we all went to New Bond Street to buy our shoes. So at the end of the month, whatever was left over, because I didn't have to buy food or anything, Justin. Transport was really cheap in those days.
So
and we didn't drink, you see. That's the difference. I never smoked.
Yeah.
So all the money that I had went on clothes. Went on clothes.
And you're saying that when you go down to Chelsea and that, and people are staring at you as you're walking down the road.
Because the King's Road, when we found, because Ozzy Clark and his wife, they just was off a side street, three quarters of the way up the King's Road.
Right. Okay.
And they were off on a side street, and that was their studio.
On the map, really, would you say,
the designers, the people that then started to. Because the King's Road, although it's Chelsea, was not.
No.
And then all of a sudden you had all the shops starting to open.
Yes,
because don't forget, Bieber was in Kensington.
Okay.
Kensington High Street was the big Bieber there, and Bieber started off in a small house in Kensington. Her front room.
Yes,
her and her husband. That was just their front room with their clothes.
Well, it's like the public houses, isn't it? A pub is pubs always starts out people selling their
then
wares
Puccino or whatever. So it was everything was available like that, because as I said, but no, we always had, wherever I worked, Justin. We there was always a canteen. So and it cost nothing. You know what I mean? It was so subsidised that maybe 50p or something.
Yeah.
But then 50p was a lot out of your every day. Yeah. So it's probably 2 and 6. I can't Everything was so heavily subsidised.
So what was the currency then? What was the old English?
Pounds, shillings and pence.
Right. So,
I didn't earn very much money, whereas the difference now, Justin, and also like you were saying earlier about when we were talking earlier, and I said, it was very, the posh thing that we did was to go to Joe Lyons.
Right, yes, yeah.
But mainly you ate at home because your mother cooked. Most women cooked.
Yeah.
It's shocking how many people do not know, how many women or men don't know how to cook. Some children never even have a home meal. All they get is these chemical takeaways, which
they sit on the floor with if they're lucky with a paper plate, but usually no plates. They sit on the floor with a plastic polystyrene,
thing. So you wouldn't have that in there. And the one thing that another thing that you often would have if your mother, if
what was typical?
Fish and chips
Right.
on a Friday.
Yeah.
Always had fish and chips on
See,
a
that's
Friday.
the insanity of these kids now. I mean, Charlotte, not only does she not interested in fish and chips, she thinks Fish and Chip Friday on a Friday at school is like a nonsense.
Yes,
You think it's the insanity of because their taste buds are.
Oh yes, and it's much broader.
Yes. What would you eat? What would be typical meals?
Well,
In the week, living with your mum and dad.
Well, my mother, she because she was a really good cook. As I say, she was taught to cook by Mrs. Bramwell. Because if it was anything to do with my grandmother, it was just cabbage, awful cabbage stinking up the place.
But she used to, I remember the onion soup was really good, wasn't it?
Yes.
I'd be so glad if I could make it like that.
Yeah, but you know what? You know why, Justin? No. No, stock.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
it's stock, and so it could be anything. Beef, it can be anything. So what you do is you boil the bones down, Justin.
But I mean,
and Sheila still does that. That's how she makes all her. She does buy some of the Waitrose stock, but if she's making something with
it's
bones,
much better. Yeah, do it naturally.
Yeah, and you put and then you skim off all the nasty, not nasty, but the fat off the top, and that is your basic stock.
Yeah.
So
they weren't. It wouldn't be a surprise having your pig's heads in a pot, would it?
No. My mother never did that. Oh, trotters.
Didn't they? I thought
trotters, Justin.
Right.
I mean, I was never a big meat eater. I mean, I love my mother's.
Grandad loved the chicken's tongue, didn't he?
Oh, that he likes. Yeah. I mean, one of the main things which a lot of people do is what's the one with crackling on, Justin? When you make those
bacon
big. No, the big pieces of they're like pork chop, not pork chops, but the individual ones, and then you've got this big thick layer of crackling.
Right.
Sheila loves everything. She doesn't like crackling, which is really.
I was the opposite. I used to absolutely love Nan's crackling.
Yes.
Absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
It was the best thing on the plate for me.
Oh gosh, yes, yeah.
Is that funny that because Sheila's a big meat eater.
She does, yeah. She loves meat.
It's funny that she doesn't like crackling.
Yeah. But my mother was a really good cook, and as I say, she learnt a lot of her cooking skills from Mrs. Bramwood.
Right.
And she taught my mother,
So what did you eat in a week then?
In the week, my mother would make say, what would you call fish cakes. I really loved it, but always made with salmon, tin salmon.
Right.
So although we weren't rich, we did have good food, and my mother and my dad did have, even when he was a still fixer.
Yeah, he had access to.
He had good. Yeah, and we had access also to Smithfield Market.
Right. Yeah, of course.
And also in the Crown, because I think
the
I
black
mentioned
market as well.
Every Sunday, near enough every Sunday, Justin. What was brought in? Smoked salmon.
Right. Yes.
We had smoked salmon nearly every
you get
Sunday.
bored of it after a while.
I wouldn't touch it. I never liked it. Oh gosh, no.
Oh, great.
No, I never liked
fish cakes.
My mother would make fish cakes.
Shepherd's pie.
She'd often make stews, beef stews.
Right.
And the reason, or was it lamb stew? I think it was lamb stew, but my mother made it so that the lamb was just filaments. It wasn't any chunks of meat in it, Justin. It was just tiny bits of. It was slaked right the way down. Also with lots of carrots and turnips and onion, and it was fantastic. And as you say about her onion soup.
Yeah.
So we and also like if you had tea. Because most people had their tea. You always had tea when you came home from school. So it could be fish paste or on bread or stuff like that. But no, always really good food in my house because my mother cooked really well. Yes. Except for the vegetables, the classic.
Boiling.
Okay, Anne, we'll be back by about 2:20. Now put on the vegetables at 2:00.
Right, yeah.
So, and we always had broccoli. Not broccoli, we didn't have broccoli then. It was always cauliflower.
Same with avocados, or no avocados until the 70s? Or...
you had broccoli, so you had cauliflower. We'd never really had cabbage in the house because I think my mother was so sick and tired of cabbage being boiled, 24/7. The whole house stank in Dagenham of cabbage. So no cabbage. So when cauliflower, Brussels sprouts.
Yes, yeah.
Cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, and there was another mainstay. So as I say, Justin, it'd be in a pot, big pot, absolutely to the top in water, and I'd turn it on at 2:00, bring it to the boil, turn it right down to number 1, and those vegetables cooked until my parents came in, and they'd go, and they were lovely, wonderful.
What about like holidays as well? Because we haven't talked about that. Should we finish there for today?
Yes,
talk about holidays?
Yes, holidays. Yeah.
And then next time I'd love to talk about like when you were like, talking about the music and going out.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And everything.
So holidays were brilliant.
Yeah, it's interesting.
We were one of the few people again amongst all the the poor.
So I think Dad's family never took them on holiday. That's something Dad continued, never taking us on holiday.
I know, it's weird, isn't it, Justin? But I suppose I can understand that because we always went on holiday.
Yes.
And look at me, any chance, even didn't matter how much little money I had, I was always lucky enough to have friends who'd say, oh, yeah, you can come and stay at our house. Oh, my aunt is going away. If you want to stay there for a week. And do you remember that caravan we went to one time? And I really hated caravans, but we went for a week down to a caravan.
No, I remember we went away a lot. But when you were, what was your first holiday? Do you remember?
Oh yes, our first holiday, Justin, was always went to Ramsgate. And Ramsgate was fantastic. So I think we maybe started going on holiday because I think when I got to about 5 maybe.
Right, 5, okay.
Because don't forget, money, maybe even a bit older. I can't remember now because again rationing. Yeah, Ramsgate. Ramsgate was wonderful, and we used to go to a boarding house. So what we do is go for 2 weeks.
So boarding house, B&B, bed and breakfast.
Yeah, bed and breakfast.
This is typical, wasn't it? It was a typical thing.
Yeah.
And they were notorious, weren't they? The ladies who ran them.
Yeah, but this couple were wonderful.
Oh, great! Very kind.
They were absolutely lovely.
Normally the dragons, aren't they?
Yeah, no, they weren't. No. They were really
very accommodating.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. I'll say in a moment. So I remember when we first. So what we could do on holiday, with your grandfather being as tight as anything, unless he's going to the pub.
Yes.
But only for beers.
Yes.
Not for Coke.
Right. Yeah.
Or a bag of crisps.
Yes.
Coke, do you know how much that costs?
Yes.
You could buy 3 pints for that, and 2 like for your mother.
Yeah.
So we'd go on holiday, Justin, and my father would carry all the suitcases. So he's got myself, my mum, my brother, and me. So we're going on holiday, and we'd leave the house, and my mother would go back 3 times to make sure the door was locked.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's
single time. Yeah. Then we'd walk down to Farrington Road, get the train.
Do you have like big suitcases or?
Yes.
Yeah.
My father like this, 2 big suitcases, Justin, really big ones. When I say big, they were heavy anyway. Yes. And don't forget, in those days, that material was always heavy material.
Yes, yeah.
But we used to go to Gamages, Justin. I haven't mentioned Gamages, but if you wanted anything posh that wasn't from Exeter Street Market, or you'd go to Gamages, because that was the expensive place, and that was just at the back of where's all the jewellers, Hatton Garden. So you go up the Italian Hill, walk through Hatton Garden, and then you come to Chancery Lane, near Chancery Lane, and there was Gamages. So we used to go to Gamages. So if you wanted anything that was good quality, you always went to Gamages. So that my dad bought the suitcases, obviously from Gamages. And so my father carried these heavy suitcases, but I suppose we didn't have tons of clothes, Justin, so always seemed a lot, but nothing like suitcases with the 9 trillion clothes that we all go away
well,
with.
that's it, or a T-shirt will last you 4 days probably, wouldn't it? If you're having a bath for 4 days,
or a week, well, they put you in the sea, that's right, like we went in the sea every day. So so I don't know why my parents how they found it. You don't know, you just go on holiday.
Yes.
So we went to Ramsgate, and I think I shared a room with my brother. My parents had a room, and the people that owned it, she was your typical very caring, dumpy woman who could have been 90, Justin. She could have been 60. She could have been 40. Had no idea. Her husband was tall and rangy, and it was only. Was it breakfast and dinner?
Yes.
That's right. It was breakfast and dinner.
It's only breakfast as well, isn't it?
Well, in those days we had dinner, but we always have our lunch out. So we go there, and you get up in the morning for breakfast, and we had boiled egg and soldiers, and they'd all he'd paint all these lovely pictures on the You know, so it was on the eggs and everything, and they were lovely couple.
Yeah, it's a nice experience.
So you go there, and most of the time it was cold, and so you always had those dividers on the beach, Justin, windbreaks.
Yes, windbreakers.
You always had your windbreakers, and then you'd be on the beach all morning, and then you go for lunch. Now a lot of the fish and chips they only sold the fish they caught that day. And there was one fish and chip shop which was fantastic. If you got there a bit late, because the queues would go right the way down the road, Justin, and if you got there a bit late, they'd sold out.
Yeah, so you wouldn't be getting cod and chips. You'd be getting something.
You'd get haddock, plaice and chips. Yeah,
okay,
cod,
so all the normal ones.
Cod haddock, but plaice. Plaice was always the expensive one, Justin.
Yes.
Plaice was always the most expensive fish. So you know, there was no money wasted on fun fish. I think maybe we might have got a ride, but I think they were free. And then of course my parents, we'd go and have fish and chips, and my parents would go to the pub, and we'd sit outside and have a drink with my parents. Or I think they probably might have relented and got us something. And then grandfather's face, you know. Then we're back on the beach, Justin, and you stay on the beach until it's time to go back to go and have a wash, because you didn't have showers or anything like that, but you did have a bath. So there'd be one bath for however many people, and then you'd have your dinner. And then my parents, then we'd go out in the evening.
So walk along the promenade, or
no, to the nearest to whichever pub and for years.
Did they allow kids in there? I suppose maybe at the beach.
All that area, Justin, but because if you think about those days, a lot of women in lots of areas, like Northern Ireland,
no women.
They weren't allowed in. I think they had to go into the snug.
Yeah, because I think at the end of the day, I think the locals can just make it hostile to keep people out, can't they? So even if by law you're allowed to, a lot of places would be hostile. Because
Ramsgate was a nice, and it was a very family orientated area. And again, what entertainment? Okay, people do go to the pictures. Oh, and I'll mention later on. I forgot to say that I went to the pictures nearly every week with my mother.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, that's nice.
Always a romance, Justin.
Well, really, oh dear. Yeah, well, that's
why. And my mother.
Lifetime of romantic books.
And that's why with my mother, she couldn't read, Justin. Yeah. So I bought her a romance magazine called Romeo, and she could look at the pictures.
Yes.
You know, so I was taken to the cinema from a very young age with my mother, because that was my mother's treat.
Yes.
Was to take me, and then and I forgot again. All the things I forgot. You asked what children did. No. We went Saturday morning. Forgotten. You asked what children did. No. We went Saturday morning pictures, Justin.
Yeah, that's
the one near Exford Street Market, which I think is closed now. I think closed years ago. Every Saturday morning we go to Exford Street. We would go to Saturday morning pictures.
Right, so that's something to look forward to every week.
All kids, no adults.
Yes. The whole place, what a nightmare.
Well, not for the kids.
No, exactly.
Up until I got to about 14, I'd go to Saturday morning pictures, Justin. Well, not every week, because the same film, whatever film came out, and, because in those days, the classic, I think there is still, it was a U, and then it was, what was it, a U, an A, and an X.
Right.
X was X-rated, it was about, you couldn't be unless you were 18.
Was it double A as well?
I don't know. I can't remember. But when I was younger, it was always, a U. But that could be cowboys. It could be, anything. So, so I'd go to the cinema. So going quickly back to that, and then, as I say, we got a television. Again, one of the first people in the street to have a television.
Well, when was this then? Would you think?
Maybe when I was 13, 14.
Wow. So of course they're black and white, aren't they? But,
black and white.
But still amazing. Most people don't have,
also television wasn't on all the time because you had the little girl. No, you had the little girl.
Yes.
And on Sunday afternoon there was always a cowboy on, Justin.
Oh.
And everything, swashbuckling thing. But I went off.
A lot of horror.
I got to the age of like 13, and of course being brought up very political, as I say.
Yeah.
I sort of I couldn't bear cowboy films because of the treatment of the Indians, because Indians were always the evil, bad, And then when I started to understand all political, what really happened in America and to the Indians, after that I hated cowboys, I couldn't bear them.
It's amazing, isn't it? Because even when I was a kid, we had cowboys and Indians, we had the toys and we had the movies still, so it was incredible, wasn't it, going up to...
Very huge influence.
Charlotte and... and Max, they won't know what we're talking about, like cowboys and Indians.
No.
That was such a massive thing, wasn't it, culturally, up until the...
Yes. Yeah, so
mid-70s.
So we went from having literally nothing and only out.
Yeah.
But even when you had a television, you still weren't going to stay in. You know, your mother would be, "What are you doing in here? You're under my feet. Out now. Come on, out. Look, the sun's shining, or it's not raining, or it stopped raining.
Or it is raining anyway.
Oh, it stopped raining." That was a classic when it stopped raining. So and then gradually things, as I say, we got a telephone. Started going abroad. When I started going,
that's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, well, they never drank coffee until I started drinking coffee, So because they weren't that interested, because jumping. We went for years to the Isle of Wight, and then for some reason.
You did, or with your mum and dad?
No. For some reason, they decided we were no longer going to Ramsgate anymore. So Sheila's now about 4, I think. So I'm 7 years older. So what make me 12 or something, Justin? We are now going to the Isle of Wight. So and it wasn't Butlins, because Butlins was very, very expensive. But we went to another big holiday camp.
Right. Okay.
And that's that photo of mum and dad dancing.
Right.
That one.
Yes.
That was at the holiday. Mum's got she's got the 60s.
Yes. The honey
helmet. Helmet where she had it. She'd go there and she'd have it sprayed so much that it wouldn't move. All the ladies they'd sit there in their rollers and then
that's it. Yeah, that's classic. Isn't it?
Yeah. So I went away. The first place I went to, we went to Spain. Because we got the bus to because that's what you did then. You'd be on the resort, just in the resort, and then you'd get the bus. You'd book the bus because you always stayed at a hotel. Do you know it cost £13 return with your hotel?
Wow.
And this is when I was now working at Commercial Union, and by then I was shopping. Oh, sorry, my leg's on a bit dead. Shopping at Bieber, and that was the classic one where we were in. I was wearing a culotte, all-in-one culotte dress, coming up to like here, very short. And we're in Barcelona. And there was a group of all you saw all the time, Justin, were these women absolutely covered in black.
Yes, yeah.
Or the whole cow, the whole thing, all of them covered in black. And I was with Jan Redding, and Jan was brought up. I think she'd gone to Catholic school because she went to a girls' school, and she went to an all-girls school and it was Catholic. I don't think she was that religious. We never talked about religion as such. But we're going to go to the huge cathedral, the really famous one in Barcelona.
Yes, the what's it called again? The Salvador Dali was involved in that, wasn't it?
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it. But before we go, Justin, we're coming towards it, and there's these group of old women. I'm sure I've told you this, and as we come along, this old lady gets hold of my skirt, and she goes, starts, literally like an old crone, hacking away because of the clothes we're wearing, you see. And Jan Redding was not allowed into the cathedral because I had something with me, and I was able to cover my...
Oh, covering your hair, right, of course, yes.
Something like that. And Jan cried.
Oh, did she?
And I think, why are you crying?
Yes.
I just went in. Obviously the architecture and for that. So I didn't go abroad until I was 16, I think. I went to 16, 17. And then a few years after that, all of a sudden, my parents thought my father was, and that's when Sheila went abroad. They took her to we were talking about this the other day, and I said, yeah, I don't know why it is, but why is it you got, because I think they went to Portugal, Justin. They went to, one of the most, one of the expensive holidays in Portugal, and they took Sheila there.
But obviously you was out by then.
Oh, well, and also I wasn't, by then, my parents could leave me at home, Justin, so they were still going...
Sagrada Familia?
Sorry?
Sagrada Familia, is it?
I don't know, Justin. I can't
that's
remember.
it.
The huge basilica one, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, the really interesting one,
Yeah.
That's still being built today. Yeah, La Familia, I think they call it.
But so that's what you did, Justin, when you went on holiday. But can you imagine it? £13 to fly there, and your full food in your hotel.
Yeah. I mean, that's it, isn't it? It's quality of life, because wages have stagnated for so many decades now, like 20 years, I think. The wages haven't changed, so it's not like people are getting paid more and things cost more. Things cost more now, and people don't have as much.
Yes,
whereas,
yes.
as you said in the past,
you could manage, but then we didn't buy the clothes we bought. We didn't, the bills. If like as I say, you didn't have a television, you didn't have, and also then we got a washing machine, which was downstairs.
Yes.
But it was one of those where you had to have a ringer on it.
Okay, yes.
We got a washing machine because before that I would be going up to the laundry.
Right.
Do you remember? You're carrying right, and to the lawn. My sister, my brother, all right. So you didn't have any of this. So your bills, Justin, was just was your rent and your travel and your food, because people didn't buy tons and tons of clothes.
No, exactly. Yeah.
You just because people just didn't.
No, that's it. I think just instinctively.
Yeah. And you went to the bars. I had to go. And also I used to go swimming a lot as well. We used to go to Merlin Street bars.
Yes,
but you were only allowed in there for 1 hour. You had to wear number yellow out.
Oh, right.
Got your red. Yes.
We had that's when
that sound
I was
familiar?
a kid. Yeah, we had the same. Yeah,
you had your armbands.
Until then, yeah.
And then you had your time,
because the kids would be in there all day if they.
Of course, yeah. And it's Merlin Street, and it's got loads of all London swimming pools would have been the same, always packed, just in the children, and it didn't cost very much. And then every Friday we'd go there for a bath.
No, that's good. Yeah, what do you think, Mum? So that's an hour and 12 minutes.
Yeah. Okay,
so stop there today, and then we can come back to that. So that's good. So we've got up to 15.
Gone back and forth, and
that's good.
As I say, I forgot about Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, I'll stop. Shall I?
Okay, darling. Yeah.